All right, thank you, Dave. TSN, exclusive broadcaster of the Canadian Football League. Proud home of the Grey Cup. We are 1 month away from the Grey Cup game, and the weather, well, a little cool, but it's a sun-soaked day here, a sunny afternoon. And even in the fall, crisp weather, everything in Regina is always green, isn't it? Marcel Belfait knows that. He used to be here.
He used to be here. Marcel Belfait has been the head coach of the Hamilton Tiger Cats for 5 games. They won one, a big win over the Montreal Alouettes at home. And Ken Miller tries to get back in the win column. They've won just one of their last 5. Saskatchewan Roughriders.
Roughriders still do not know what their playoff destiny will be. It could be in the East. It could be through the West. There are several permutations pending. A lot of it depends on this game today. Trey Smith is back. No Jesse Lumsden. No Kenton Keith available for the Hamilton Tiger Cats. Keith was looking forward to coming back to play in Saskatchewan. Suffered a deep laceration in his forearm last week in Montreal. So the 3-12 Tiger Cats and the 9-6 Rough Riders getting ready to tackle here in Riderville. JoJo Walker takes the kick from Jamie Borum. Walker finding the seam, and good field position here for Quentin Porter, who makes his 4th start as a Hamilton Tiger Cat quarterback.
1-2 as a starter for the Hamilton Tiger Cats. He was the starting quarterback for that big win versus the Montreal Alouettes. Threw for 429 in that game. You mentioned Trey Smith in the backfield. He will start. No Jesse Lumsden, no Kenton Keith in this one this afternoon. There's the receiving corps. Appreciate Rodriguez, a keeper for the Hamilton Tiger Cats at wide receiver. 3 touchdowns in that Alouette game from Quentin Porter. And there's the offensive line with Chad Rempel in there.
Key for Porter to get rid of that football quickly. He does right away and almost had it picked off. Tad Cornegay knocking that down as we take a look at Saskatchewan's defense. Our starting lineups brought to you by Holiday Inn Hotels. Look again at Holiday Inn.
John Chick is again out of the lineup, so Stevie Baggs back at rush in. There's the linebacking core led by Maurice Lloyd. Ronald Williams, he's in there again for Anton McKenzie. That's 4 games now, and there's the starting secondary that remains the same.
2nd down now and 10. Porter goes deep for Rodriguez, and he dropped it. Appreciate Rodriguez, one of the nominees for Rookie of the Year in our pregame show. The guys were talking about nominees. We could see a good showdown between 2 excellent rookie receivers today.
You could, and this is a receiver, Appreciate Rodriguez, who will have 1,000 yards on the season. And remember, he didn't start in the first 3 games of the year for the Hamilton Tiger Cats. I expect him to be matched up and have Quentin Porter go after these corners. Omar Morgan at 5'9", James Johnson at 5'8". Rodriguez has the height advantage.
Ball over the head of James Johnson. He'll let it go to the end zone for the single point. The top punter in the Canadian Football League is Nick Setta. And the Tiger Cats hit the board first here. There is a no yards call on the play. Cameron Siskowick was downfield. Jake Ireland is our referee today here at Mosaic Stadium. And there's Darian Durant. Will also make his 4th start as a Rider quarterback.
Hamilton, number 40, no yard. That penalty is declined. Single point, 1st down Saskatchewan.
There's Cameron Siskowick, who's had a chance to play a lot more suits since Zeke Moreno was traded to Winnipeg.
14 tackles in the last 2 games for Siskowick, who has started both of those games in middle linebacker.
Not starting today, though. Durant out of the backfield for Zarka. Plows forward and a big gainer. The first pass in quite some time for Darian Durant.
Darian Durant started 3 games for the Saskatchewan Roughriders early in the season. The team won all 3. In fact, it was part of that 6-0 start. Saskatchewan had the best start they've had since 1934 at 6-0, and nice play to get things going for the Riders.
Again, the Riders have Wes Cates back today. And once again, steamrolling up the middle is Zarka. Also having Matt Dominguez back, so big day today for the Riders as they try to get some continuity in this injury-ravaged season.
Yeah, two new starters there. Darian Durant in for Michael Bishop, who drops to 3. You mentioned Wes Cates. Big to have him back in the lineup. There's the receiving core. Matt Dominguez back at wideout there, and Abu Meshrik back in at right guard after missing last week.
Durant in the shotgun. Gun looks right, takes off. Tons of room here for Darian Durant. Still on his feet and close to the red zone. And there was a fumble on the play. Tiger Cats feel that they have the football, but it will be Saskatchewan ball as Darian Durant not shy to take off with that football.
Well, it opens up. It looked like there was some confusion with the Hamilton Tiger Cats. Look at Markeith Knowlton right here, the linebacker, who's pointing to the outside saying, wait a minute, who's got that outside gap? And you can see the alley open up for Darian Durant. Big gainer in this first series.
Durant, when he did play with the Rough Riders earlier this year, was undefeated as a starter. Then left the lineup. Suffered cracked ribs. First carry of the day for Wes Cates, but it's negated because of a penalty flag.
Time count violation. Saskatchewan number 4. 5-yard penalty. It remains first down.
A year ago, Glenn Suter. Number 4 was the quarterback for the Saskatchewan Roughriders, was leading his team down the road to the Grey Cup. He's now in Toronto. Michael Bishop is here, a 3rd string. Who would have thought this would have all worked out this way? And another number 4 is the starter with the same hopes for the Riders this year.
Yeah, and I think the goal at the beginning of the season was to have Darian Durant become the starter here in Saskatchewan. Marcus Crandall started the season. That seems like a long time ago for the Saskatchewan Roughriders. And Darian Durant got his 3 starts and won them all until he was injured against Toronto.
Now Marcel Belfay has thrown a challenge flag down on the
Hamilton
previous
has
play.
challenged the ruling of down by contact on the previous play.
Darian Durant, so they get a reprieve because of that time count violation. And Jake Ireland will go under the hood as we take a look once again at Durant. And he did lose the football. Let's take a look.
Well, was he touched before?
Oh, that looked...
He went down. I don't think I saw anyone touch him there. So if he goes down by himself, that is considered a fumble, because basically he could have got back up and kept running had he if he was not touched before he went down to the ground. The ground can cause the fumble if no one touches the ball carrier.
It doesn't look like anybody touched him, does it?
We might have to go back a little bit further in the play to see. I don't think anyone has touched him here in this shot when he starts to stumble. So if you let's take a look further back now. Does anyone touch him? A wider view of it, as if he's touched here and then starts to stumble there, that would be considered a continuation and down by contact. If he wasn't touched at that beginning, I think it was Jeff Tisdale. If he's not touched there, and I think he was, I think it was his left ankle. Because that's a continuation. If he's touched there and stumbles and falls, then it's down by contact. If he stumbles on his own, it's not, and it's a fumble.
Jake Ireland may have just seen that replay again with the Tisdale getting a hand on Darian Durant.
After review, the Saskatchewan ball carrier was contacted by a Hamilton defender, causing him to lose his balance. He stumbled and then fell to the ground. The ruling on the field stands. First down.
It's a very good explanation by the veteran.
That's basically what happens is if that touch starts the stumble, you're allowed to stumble 2 or 3 or whatever more yards if you're on your way down. That's what Darian Durant does. And that little touch there on the ankle started the stumble. He's down by contact. Therefore, now the ground can't make you fumble.
First down and 15 after the time count violation. Durant in trouble now, escapes it, lets it go, and there's no one home down the sideline. Some pressure this time from the Hamilton defense, something they really haven't been able to initiate much of from their front line this season.
No, they haven't. Maybe Terrence Patrick, who's moved around, has been their most consistent performer. They have 6 sacks out of Daryl Adams. There's the linebacking core, Markeith Knowlton, Cornelius Anthony back in the middle, and the Canadian Ray Marius. And then the secondary, which looks like a good group that they could really build on, but they need pressure up front to give those guys a chance.
Second down, 15. Durant again lets it fly and throws it away basically. So good pressure again by the Ticats. It will bring out Luca Conji here for the Saskatchewan Roughriders, and he'll try to put 3 points on the board.
Well, some pressure for the Hamilton Tiger Cats. I know a lot of people are probably at home in Hamilton saying that this doesn't mean anything to the Hamilton Tiger Cats. Well, it sure does to each one of these individual players and to Marcel Belfay, the head coach, because these guys are being evaluated now. Bob Obilovich is here at Mosaic Stadium watching every single one of these plays. And they are being evaluated for next year.
This kick is against the wind. Luca Conji almost at 90% this season. I knew I was going to jinx him by doing that. Walker down, no yards on the call. The missed field goal by Luca Conji, a rare one this season for the unplaced kicker. The CFL on TSN is brought to you in part by Rona, proud sponsor of the CFL. Rona, the Canadian how-to people. Singles apiece. 1-1 here over the prairies in Regina. Mid-October afternoon, a little chill in the air. It's football weather. Behind center this time, twin backs for Quentin Porter. Hand off to Trey Smith, and nowhere to go. He's swallowed up for a loss.
Quentin Porter got his first start against the BC Lions, struggled there, had a big game against Montreal, and then in the rematch versus the Alouettes, a little bit of a different story. And Quentin Porter has a huge upside. He's a big quarterback at 6'5". He can make the throws. Sometimes will hold on to the ball a little long. He plays a little inconsistent, and that's pretty much how every rookie quarterback has played when they arrive in pro football.
He has taken a number of ferocious hits. Keeps coming, though. In the backfield, Trey Smith has a first down and more running room. Trey Smith down the sideline, just steps out of bounds. Trey Smith has been one of those valuable acquisitions for the Hamilton Tiger Cats this year. When Jesse Lumsden or Kenton Keith or Terry Cawley have not been available, Smith has.
You see Maurice Lloyd coming on the blitz, runs right by Trey Smith here. Well-executed play to take advantage of the speed and quickness and aggressiveness of the Saskatchewan Roughrider defense. When they're flying at the quarterback, just dump it past the line of scrimmage behind them.
Usually a crowded backfield, the best running game in the CFL. Scott Mitchell has had those types of issues this year, dropping the football.
You know, Danny McManus is going to help Quentin Porter in a big way on the coaching staff for the Hamilton Tiger Cats, and he basically said to me today that Quentin Porter has that great upside. He'll stand in there, he'll take the hits. He's a big guy that can make all the throws. He has to learn to get rid of the ball and sometimes just take those 5-yard dump passes, and maybe that kind of screen pass call will help him get into that kind of rhythm.
Second down, 10 yards. Over the middle, caught, wide open is Chris Davis. Will he get to the end zone? Yes, he will. Chris Davis, the former Montreal Alouette, on one of the biggest plays in a few weeks for the Hamilton Tiger Cats.
Amazing play because he's one-on-one with one of the veterans of the Canadian Football League. A 52-yard touchdown for Chris Davis, who's playing against Eddie Davis, the 14-year veteran, and Eddie Davis slipped and fell down. Number 29, you can see him trying to catch up to Chris Davis and can't do it. He slipped and fell in one-on-one, and when you slip and fall in one-on-one, the receiver is open.
Chris Davis's first touchdown of 2008 has only been inserted in the last couple of weeks. Good insertion.
All day.
The CFL on TSN is brought to you in part by the 2008 GMC Sierra. Professional grade. 4 plays, 75 yards, 52 yards to Chris Davis.
Yeah, someone did mention to Quentin Porter and Chris Davis that this game doesn't mean anything. I forgot to mention that to those guys. They're playing like it means something.
Nick Setta, who's had some issues the last few weeks with back problems. Little line drive kick this time. And finally brought down near the 42-yard line. Vince Marshall with the ball. And let's take another look in a reverse angle. Former Boston College quarterback to Chris Davis.
James Patrick's coming on the blitz. The defensive back there hesitates for a split-second watch. He's not sure if he should jump or if he should tackle Quentin Porter. That split second gave Quentin Porter a chance to get the ball out of his hands into the hands of Chris Davis. Eddie Davis had slipped and fallen. He was behind the play. Touchdown Hamilton Tiger Cats. And that's Quentin Porter standing in there to take a hit as well.
Darian Durant play action. Shakes one tackle and makes something good on it. And it looked like he didn't get caught for a loss. Darian Durant taking off with a football again.
You know, Darian Durant is a quarterback that's going to rely on his athletic ability, which is why it's very interesting the way the quarterbacks have been shuffled here in Saskatchewan a little bit, because, you know, we've heard that Michael Bishop was in for the games, even though Darian Durant was healthy over the last few weeks, because he was more athletic and with the strong arm. Well, I think Darian Durant is just as athletic and can run just as well. He showed it there.
Durant, little out pattern. The official on the sideline saying it was caught by Vincent Marshall.
The other thing about Darian Durant, Rod, and this is, you know, he has been ready to play for a few weeks now. In fact, he's got 54 minutes of playing time in relief of Michael Bishop. So shouldn't have all that much rust on him when it comes to the reading of the defense and understanding when to get out of there.
241.
Second down, 4 yards to go for Durant. Taking off again. Darian Durant up the gut and slides into the 33-yard line. Well, this is something that Saskatchewan Roughriders haven't really been able to see this year much of from Marcus Crandall or Michael Bishop. Darian Durant can do this.
Watch how this opens up. When you see the Hamilton Tiger Cats, Cornelius Anthony vacate that middle. Now he has got that running lane, and he will take this all day long. That's the second, early in this first quarter, the second quarterback draw that we've seen.
Darian Durant has been in Saskatchewan, been in Regina the last couple of years, although now making a name for himself. Only threw one pass back in 2006. It was complete. Did not throw anything last year, dressed for every game, and then again playing this year. And Ken Miller really is high on Darian Durant. We have an injury on the field. We will step aside and come back with the Ticats leading 8-1 in Regina. Closed captioning of the CFL on TSN is brought to you by Sport Check. When you're in the zone, time almost stands still. Getting into the zone begins with Sport Check. Sport Check, the power of sport. And on the sideline, Dominic Lewis, injured Ticat. Darian Durant, quick hitter to Matt Dominguez. Back in the lineup, Dominguez for a first down. Fan favorite here. Welcome back, Matt Dominguez.
And no one thought it was going to happen this year when Matt Dominguez went down with injury. The thought was it was a season-ending injury for Matt Dominguez. And he has made a miraculous recovery. Another one. Again, he's recovered from a bad knee, which has haunted him for the last 3-4 years. And an inspirational leader in that locker room for the Saskatchewan Roughriders, without question.
Durant goes to the end zone through the uprights, and it is picked off by Chris Thompson. Just like that, the Ticats snuff out A Rough Rider drive, and Chris Thompson has his 8th pick of the season.
You know, and right out of the gate, you look at the secondary for the Hamilton Tiger Cats, and this is an area I think they can really build on. Chris Thompson, you mentioned 8 interceptions, and the intended target being Weston Dressler there. He just plays right underneath Weston Dressler and wins the jump ball when the football arrives. And this is the problem that plagued Michael Bishop, and the reason that Michael Bishop is at 3 right now, and Darian Durant has moved back up to 1. So be interesting to watch the Saskatchewan bench.
The Riders were offside on that play, but the pickoff. What a spirited start by the Hamilton Tiger Cats. Quentin Porter with some time out of the pocket. He can roll, goes to the sideline, was looking for Preche Rodriguez, but one hopped it to him.
You know, Quentin Porter, what I've been really impressed with him is that he's a big quarterback at 6'5". He's that pocket passer, but his athletic ability you can't underestimate as a defense, because in the last 3 games that he has started, he has also led the team in rushing. And this is a team that is heavy at the tailback position when you look at their talent. But he loves to take off and run with the football and is fearless with it.
2nd down and 10, throwing down again for Porter. Decides to take off with it. Even with those big boats that he wears, this guy can run. Looks like he's a little shy of the 1st down. And Quentin Porter is not afraid to take off with the football. He's a big target. He has taken a few hits.
Well, last week, 5 carries, 25 yards, 6 carries, 42 the week before in the win versus Montreal. That's a called quarterback draw like we've seen Saskatchewan's Darian Durant run. So Quentin Porter does like to run the ball. He has that speed and athletic ability to be able to do it, and that's all part of that upside, but they'll be just short.
3rd and 1, and decided to play field position this time with 5 minutes to go in the opening quarter. Nick Seta. Wobbly kick. Johnson again. And brought down near the 40-yard line. And we'll come back to Mosaic Stadium with the Cats leading by 7. 8-1 Hamilton as we head to the sideline. Joining us today, our reporter Ray Morrison. Ray.
Hi, Rod. One of the issues for Coach Ken Miller for the Riders is what he calls ball security ratio. And you can see by this graphic we're about to show you that the Rough Riders have really struggled, especially with Darian Durant in at quarterback. When you take a look at the touchdown to interceptions ratio, you can see Darian Durant only has a couple of full starts. He and Bishop have thrown the same amount of touchdown passes, but look at the interceptions. Throw in the fact the Riders have fumbled the ball a lot in the last 4 or 5 games, and it's a real issue that this team really needs to improve on in a hurry.
Durant play action to Chris Getzlaff. And gets half the 1st down yardage.
You know, it's an interesting point, that Ray makes, because Michael Bishop, his inconsistency is what's plagued him in his career. He's thrown 5 interceptions in the last 3 games, Bishop has. And I think it was that last game that was sort of the last straw for Ken Miller, at least for now, when he had no touchdown passes. And Bishop threw 3 interceptions against Calgary in that real lopsided loss.
2nd down and 3. Zarka and Cates in the backfield. Durant behind center. Cates carries the mail, has the 1st down. And again, Wes Cates back in the lineup after missing the last 3 games with a high ankle sprain.
And, out of all the injuries, and boy, there have been a ton for Saskatchewan, Rod, that this is the guy I think this football team has missed the most, is Wes Cates. He does so much for this offense, coming out of the backfield, running the ball, catching the ball out of the backfield. It was averaging well over 100 yards per game from the line of scrimmage before he was injured.
Again, Durant behind center, moving the football. Play action, rolling, and just past the outstretched arm of the veteran fullback Chris Zarka.
How much did they miss Wes Cates? Well, take a look at the numbers that Wes Cates was putting up. He had 177 carries when he was injured, over 1,000 yards already running the football. And look at that bottom one, 19.9 touches per game, 133.5 yards per game. Production from one football player, and they lost him for 3 games.
Early in the year, definite candidate for most outstanding player until he got hurt. Durant was looking deep. Now in pursuit. And incomplete pass, was very close to being over the line of scrimmage when he delivered that football.
I thought he was. Yeah, I thought I saw the same thing, because the marker is in between the 50 and the center stripe, and I thought he was right around the 50-yard line. Doesn't matter anyway because it was incomplete, but you could see where the ball is snapped. There's the line of scrimmage, which is just at the 53. Durant drops back, steps up. He ended up throwing right by the 50-yard line stripe, so I think he was over the line.
Jamie Borum down to JoJo Walker. 26-yard line is where Quentin Porter will come back to work. Quentin Porter was at Boston College, heavily recruited. He's from that area, Portland, Maine. Doug Flutie actually recruited him at the time. He was the starting quarterback, lost his job because of injury to Matt Ryan, who became the number 3 pick in the NFL draft last year.
He's doing okay.
$72 million later, by the way.
He's doing okay. Well, you know, and I don't think that Casey Printers is out of the picture here for the Hamilton Tiger Cats when you think about next year. You know, they'll go back to training camp with Printers and Quentin Porter signed to contracts.
Porter now in trouble out of the backfield. Chris Bauman, his first catch. Bauman coming back to a place where he played for a few years in Regina. He's from Brandon, Manitoba.
You know, and when they go back to training camp next year, and it's Casey Printers and Quentin Porter, and I really believe it'll be an open competition between the two quarterbacks, and it won't be the expectations on the shoulders of Casey Printers like he had when he arrived in Hamilton. I mean, it was almost unrealistic for Casey Printers when he came in, and the size of the contract that he signed, but an open competition could be a different story for him next year.
Just over 2 minutes to go in the opening quarter with the Cats leading. There's the rush, there's the pass. Criche Rodriguez is held short of a first down. So I want to ask you, though, do you think there's a chance that the Hamilton Tiger Cats may consider not going with Casey Printers, considering they have him under contract, a lot of money, and the fact they may have Quentin Porter could be their starting guy?
Well, without question, then you look at Casey Printers, if you're Bob Obilovich, as a tremendous asset, a guy that I know that there will be teams, even though he struggled this year, that would like to have Casey Printers. So then he becomes an asset and possible trade, opportunities.
Boy, a booming kick by the leading punter in the Canadian Football League. And once again, Darian Durant with 1:45 to go against the wind in this opening quarter. And Matt Dominguez, you talked about the knee problems. 4 knee injuries over the last few years. One, of course, last year, near this time, where some people thought he might get back in the postseason. Never did come back. Watched his team win the Grey Cup. He'd like to get back there again healthy.
Yeah, he didn't play in game 1 this year. He played the next 5. The Saskatchewan Roughriders were 6-0 when he left.
Handoff up the middle to Cates. Well, number 88 knows the full value and how precious it is to be a professional football player.
Growing up, athletes have this great notion in their head that they're going to play 10, 15 years, and their last season they're going to win a championship and they're going to go out on top. And for most of us, it doesn't happen that way. And in my situation, I've had to look at the end of my career more than once. And you get a greater appreciation when you have to step back, when you're forced to step back.
Weston Dressler down the sidelines.
It's tremendous perspective from Matt Dominguez, because he is bang on right. When you're a professional football player, you think you're invincible. You believe you're going to put together a 10, 12, 14-year career, break all the records, and win championships, and then go out on a high note with a championship ring. And it doesn't happen like that very often. Matt Dominguez has tremendous perspective, and what a leader in this room he is, and a great citizen he is in the province.
Durant, lots of time, and over the middle for Cates. Dropped the football. The whistle had blown. And it is a great perspective, and it is fleeting. Again, keep in mind, the Saskatchewan Roughriders are only a little bit behind of last year's record.
Yeah.
I know they had thought about getting a home playoff date. That was the goal last year. The Grey Cup was still out there. They win the Cup. Who would have thought that they would have also unveiled a really nice addition to their package this year in Weston Dressler?
Well, yeah, and Dressler had to grow up in a hurry as a rookie and will be a rookie nominee. You have to believe.
Durant in trouble, escapes again. Darian Durant cannot be caught today. Final play of the first quarter. Cornelius Anthony brings him down. Cats lead by 7 after 1. The numbers favor the home side, but the score does not at this point after 1. Our numbers brought to you by Tim Hortons. Always fresh, always.
See the balance passing and running for Saskatchewan, who do have the edge in the net yards, but 63 of those 70 rushing or 75 rushing yards were by Darian Durant, scrambling out of the pocket and calling those quarterback draws.
How about the Saskatchewan Roughrider team go back a year ago? Again, the goal was to get a home playoff date. They had not had one since I think you played. But now, you know, that's what they want to do again.
Without question, and they're in a fight. I mean, we know what the West Division is all about. The Calgary Stampeders, of course, won last night, so the race is on for home field. Saskatchewan Roughriders still have a chance, an outside chance. They've got to win the season series with Edmonton. They play them next week. The other 2 season series they have already lost to Calgary and BC.
First play, second quarter with the wind now. And splitting the middle once again is Wes Cates.
But yeah, Rod, I mean, the importance of this game for Saskatchewan, it's just enormous when you talk about the advantage of home field. I mean, that's the one thing that so many teams talk about is the difficulty they have when they come into Mosaic Stadium in the 16th consecutive sellout and have to try and win a game on the road. Very difficult here.
Zarka plowing again for the first down, very close to it. And what a year, thanks to the Grey Cup. I'm sure Ken Miller and the Riders in the wild, wild West still have a shot at getting back there again.
All right, look, you start to do the math, but usually by this time we could say, well, if this team wins, then they take this. The one thing we do know, if the Calgary Stampeders beat Hamilton next week, they will take first place because they have the season series with the Lions. But after that, it's still up for grabs as who will cross over. All 4 of those teams will make the playoffs this year. One will go and play in Winnipeg. Which one, we don't know.
Yeah, no, you're right. This is the 4th straight drive, by the way, into the Hamilton side of the field for the Riders. You mentioned the sellouts. Another home game still to come. The Saskatchewan Roughriders could sell out their entire season here at home. That says something about Rider Nation. First down again. Wes Cates probably trying to shake a little rust off here today as well. Has not been in the lineup. Doing very well so far.
Oh, without question. I mean, that's a great point to make, Rod, because when you come off injury, and it doesn't matter what position you play, those first few reps are very important. One, you're testing out the stability of your legs. You're testing out how much that injury has healed. But the other one is psychological. You want to be able to make those same cuts and attack the line of scrimmage of your Wes Cates like you did before you were hurt.
Getting close to the red zone. 8th play of the drive. Nice play here. Getzlaff to the end zone for the touchdown. His second. Chris Getzlaff in his 3rd start with the Riders puts them into the end zone in a well-designed play.
Wes Cates starts in the backfield right here, and he's going to exit the backfield this direction, and Getzlaff's going to come the opposite direction, so they have a double screen set up. You see 89 just come into your screen. So Darian Durant has Wes Cates to the right side of the formation. He has Getzlaff to the left side, and he can pick which one. He takes Getzlaff, and he gets there.
Brother of the hockey star, Ryan. Boy, 2 great athletic brothers. Getzlaff the touchdown. Tie game. The CFL on TSN, brought to you in part by Ramada Worldwide. You do your thing, leave the rest to us. A guy who was acquired from Hamilton, along with Corey Holmes, for Jason Armstead last year. Originally picked by the Tiger Cats in the 5th round. Chris Getzlaff makes his old teammates pay.
A couple of games now against the Calgary Stampeders. He had 8 for 118 coming in. Last week, 3 for 71 for Chris Getzlaff.
Trey Smith hurdles one. Tackler. Smith carries the ball out to the 40-yard line. So Chris Getzlaff getting a chance to play, and his second major as a CFL player.
See what he does here? There's Getzlaff there. He's going to come in and disguise like he's going to block like he's a tight end, and then just slip out of the backfield. Darian Durant rolls away and towards Wes Cates, who I showed you in the first replay, and then Durant has the option and dumps it back to Chris Getzlaff. So nice drive by Darian Durant. 8 plays, 75 yards.
Getzlaff getting a chance to play against an old teammate of his, the University of Regina, Chris Bauman. Chris Davis dropping that.
Incomplete intended for Chris Davis, number 15.
Saskatchewan Roughriders have talked about ball control on offense. They've talked about having to control some of those turnover issues they've had over the last few weeks, and then they can rely on their defense, because for Saskatchewan this year, if they don't turn the ball over, they're in every game. The reason for that is they have one of the top defenses in the Canadian Football League.
Great linebacking core, minus Anton McKenzie, who's out with an injury. Over the middle, nice throw, and there's Bauman. Again, used to play with Getzlaff. That would have been a nice receiving core, having some sure-handed guys like Getzlaff and Bauman here in Regina.
Yeah, and no disrespect to Jason Armstead, but I think that's probably a trade Hamilton would like back. When you look at Getzlaff, and I think he's going to develop into a very good receiver in the Canadian Football League. Chris Bauman is already getting there.
Lots of motion here now as the Ticats get to the midfield stripe. Here's the rush. Delivering it right away out of the backfield, Trey Smith.
That's film work for the Hamilton Tiger Cats right there, Rod, because you could see how quickly Quentin Porter saw that blitz coming. The Saskatchewan Roughriders love to do it, and the guy they'll send is Maurice Lloyd more than not. And Lloyd, who's right here in your screen, watch how he comes in. He'll time it, he'll hold his position, and then he just hits that middle, that A gap. But Quentin Porter was calm, recognized it, that's film study, and dropped it out there.
And old Williams made the tackle again, replacing Anton McKenzie, who's out with that stinger. 2nd down and 3 for Porter, still throwing. And another reception here, Criche Rodriguez. Rodriguez running room. Not bad for a guy who only picked up football a few years ago. He was a basketball star.
Oh, not bad at all. 11 starts for this guy, and this is a receiver. You talk about the secondary on defense. This receiver, you know, he's a guy that you can build your offense around a little bit. He is a master at the fade route. He's a guy you can throw the ball up to, and he'll win the jump ball for you, as he did in that Montreal game with 3 touchdowns.
Good chance he could be the Eastern nominee as Rookie of the Year. The Western nominee could be Weston Dressler.
You know what that fade route looks like? Let me show you here. Let's just go against James Johnson, the corner. Rodriguez will want to push him straight up and then fade to the outside, and that'll leave the quarterback, Quentin Porter, with 2 options. He can either throw it the true fade out on the outside shoulder of Rodriguez, or he throws the throw behind number 2. Awful tough for James Johnson, who's only 5'8", 185, to win that battle. Don't be surprised if we don't see that a bunch in this game.
Porter, an under route this time. Looking for Pat Woodcock, who has not been utilized a lot this year. Woodcock began the season with the Cats. Tony Miles also out with injury. Tad Cornegay in on the play.
When you talk that fade route, it's one that Matt Dominguez likes to run in Saskatchewan, but Criche Rodriguez is a master at it because of that basketball background you talked about. He can win the jump ball, but it's a play you like to run inside the 20-yard line. And the Hamilton Tiger Cats didn't get inside the 20 on this drive.
Nick Setta's numbers way down this year for field goals, but then again last year, remember, the Cats did not score many touchdowns. They had to use Setta a lot. And he puts this one through against the wind, a little hook job. The Cats go in front by 3. (11-8) Cats. The return today of Matt Dominguez with more. Here's Ray Morrison.
Yeah, Rod, you were talking about Matt Dominguez's return earlier. Just 4 starts this season because of an ACL injury on August the 2nd, and he was explaining the details of that tear to me yesterday. What it's like, for lack of a better word, is a piece of paper, and you don't know the extent of the original tear because the tear frays. Once that fray goes away and it settles down, that's when you can tell the degree of it. And Matt Dominguez very fortunate that this injury wasn't more serious, but as you have pointed out, it's 3 to 4 times that he's had this knee worked on.
James Johnson with a huge return down to the 20-yard line. He got behind the wall and just kept coasting.
That's exactly what it's called. It's called the wall return, and you can tell by the angles of the blockers who will be facing in this way. The block is facing in here, in here, in here, in here, and he just gets that wall, gets to the outside, and now it's just a matter of using his speed to continue and try and outrun the angles of the Hamilton Tiger Cat tacklers, and James Johnson shows he can return the football as well as play corner.
Longest return of the season, James Johnson. Huge game in the Grey Cup last year. Durant. Wes Cates, talk about a shoestring catch. It was off the shoe.
And Rod, if Darian Durant puts that one on the money, Wes Cates turns the corner and scores a touchdown. And it's just, you know, this seems like a routine flat pass, but Matt Dunnigan in the studio will tell you this is a tough pass to make. You have to be accurate with it because you see the troubles that it puts Wes Cates in when it's behind him and at his feet. But you throw that out in front of him, he catches that ball, turns the corner. There's not a Hamilton Tiger Cat tackler to be seen. He'll score.
Matt Dominguez, the near side of your screen. Durant decides to take off with it again. Darian Durant head first, fumbled it, picked it up, and it looks like another first down, and the Riders will go first and goal here, and another chance to score.
The Hamilton Tiger Cats are going to have to start to try and spy Darian Durant if they want to stop this play. And what I mean by that is to possibly leave Cornelius Anthony in the middle and just hang out there. And if Darian Durant decides to run up the middle, then there's at least one Hamilton tackler there to tackle. Because you look at the 73 yards, and we're not finished the first half of the game yet.
Leading rusher in the ball game, Darian Durant, again making his 4th start. His first start in quite some time. Looking for the end zone now. Looks for Dominguez. Turned around, picked off again, and it's Jeff Tisdale. Second interception today by Darian Durant, both on end zone tosses. The Cats take it away. Closed captioning of the CFL on TSN brought to you by Sport Check. When you're in the zone, time almost stands still. Getting into the zone begins with Sport Check. Sport Check, the power of sport. The power of another Tiger Cat turnover.
How about this Tiger Cat secondary stepping up when they're backed up against their goal line? Jeff Tisdale, his 3rd interception of the season, and a throw that was off the mark from Darian Durant.
Cats lead by 3, under 8 minutes before halftime, knocked down at the line of scrimmage. And it was Stevie Baggs.
There's Darian Durant in the shotgun, and it's that fade route we just drew you with. We drew it for Precier Rodriguez of Hamilton, but Dominguez runs it as well, and you can see Dominguez runs the fade on Tisdale. He fades to the outside, but remember what I said about the fade? You got 3 spots, there. That one's not a good spot. That 3rd option is an interception.
Throwing down again for Porter. Overloads the right side, has to take off with it. Porter. Again, a guy who doesn't hook slide, I would think, enough for the Hamilton Tiger Cat coaching staff.
Well, you know, what's interesting in the Cats' 5 drives so far now, they've thrown 14 passes, and this was designed to be a pass. They had the first one pass, so that would be 16 passes and just 2 rushing plays in the 5 drives for the Hamilton Tiger Cats. So for a team that was a real run-first football team, they're not playing it that way here this afternoon.
Seta against that stiff breeze. They have to contain James Johnson. Spin move there, and pretty good field position again for the Roughriders with the wind here. Well, the Hamilton Tiger Cats return home next week to take on the Calgary Stampeders. Wendy's Friday Night Football, 7:30 Eastern, 4:30 Pacific in Ivor Wynne Stadium. And those resilient Hamilton Tiger Cat football fans who have had to suffer a lot of losses through the years, and they are very hardy, like the fans here. Maybe not as many at a lot of the games, but you have to give them a lot of credit considering all the losing the Cats have done the last few years.
Now you do, and you know, I had a feeling, and I do have a feeling, in the last 3 games, the Ticats will upset somebody.
Well, they might upset this team today, the Saskatchewan Roughriders.
I'm not saying this is the one,
okay.
But in the last 3 games, I really believe that the Hamilton Tiger Cats will be spoilers in one of those games, because those are important games. I mean, this is important for Saskatchewan. You go back and you look at the Hamilton Tiger Cats, they go against the Calgary Stampede. I mean, this is some important games down the stretch for the West Division, and I think Marcel Belfay's group can pull off an upset. Maybe to be that Hamilton game next week.
Durant, draw play, Cates running room, Wes Cates with a first down. A very interesting point, because when you think about how unpredictable this season has been and things that the way the dominoes have fallen this season, who would have thought that Wes Cates would have been out? Who would have thought that Wes Cates would have made such a dynamic impact in the Saskatchewan Roughriders as well?
They're attacking the middle of that defense right now, but you're right, Ron, and it is unpredictable. There's parity in the league, even though sometimes the records don't show that. There's good athletes on the football field.
Durant looking deep down, go over the middle on a one-hopper. Look at the Hamilton Tiger Cats, and again, what happened to Saskatchewan with all the injuries. Who would have thought they would have traded their MOP? But look at Hamilton and all of those close games. I know their record is only 3-12, but there were 3 or 4 games, including against the Saskatchewan Roughriders, where they very well could be in line for a playoff spot.
Well, week 3 they lost to Saskatchewan by 5. You know, when Marcel Belfay took over, they lost that first game to Edmonton by 5, and the next game to Winnipeg by 2. Win a couple of those, and it's a different season for Hamilton.
Durant hangs in, and again intercepted. Tisdale's second of the afternoon. And I wonder what Michael Bishop is thinking right now.
Well, this is real interesting, Rod, and I'm sure the guys at halftime will be talking about this, because, you know, after the game last week, Ken Miller talked about Michael Bishop's inconsistencies, and he said, you know, the turnovers, you just can't live with those turnovers when you're moving the football. You get down there and you throw interceptions in the end zone, and you can see all of a sudden there is movement down in that bullpen in the Saskatchewan Roughriders. It looks like Stephen Giles and Michael Bishop are starting to play catch down there.
Well, Michael Bishop lost his job after that blowout loss to Calgary, humiliating loss for the Riders last week, and threw 3 interceptions. And so far today, Darian Durant has done that. And it's not even halftime yet. There's Bishop. But Giles has the helmet on. And he, again, is the backup, designated backup today. Bishop falling down to 3rd string. Looks like we're going to see Stephen Giles.
And here's the thing. It is getting deep in the season to have these big question marks at that key position for the Saskatchewan Roughriders in the race that they're in the West Division. I know they've been forced to because of that injury to Durant early on, but boy, they have a question mark hanging over that position right now.
Again, when they traded Kerry Joseph, their starting quarterback was Marcus Crandall, who gave way to Darian Durant when Crandall had some injury problems. Durant took over, got hurt. Then again, they made the trade for Michael Bishop. And for all intents and purposes, it looked like this was Michael Bishop's team.
Well, and I think they didn't say it was his team, and they didn't say it was guaranteed, but they did say he was going to get a great opportunity. He went 3-4 with that opportunity, and in that last game when he threw the 3 interceptions, Ken Miller felt that that was it. He needed to see Darian Durant again. But now Durant's having that same issue, the interceptions.
The Riders have had a lot of issues this year. Injury problems, the quarterback shuffle. Right now, Stevie Baggs is on the field. Injured Rider will come back to Regina after this. Back to Mosaic Stadium, which could also be called Saskatchewan General Hospital this season. They have had so many injuries. John Chick out, of course, 3 times injured this year. Stevie Baggs was his replacement. Baggs comes to the sideline. He's banged up. Try to get a report on his injury. Luke Mullender comes into the game. Under 5 minutes before halftime. 2nd down and 5. And unable to hang on is Chris Davis, with Eddie Davis right in his grill.
Chris Davis made that nice touchdown catch when Eddie Davis fell down, and since then has not hung on to the ball, and Eddie Davis has been right in his hip pocket. And that's the veteran Eddie Davis of 14 years saying, yeah, you got me on one there, youngster, but that was because I fell. And Chris Davis has to learn how to make catches that are contested.
James Johnson back, the 5th 2 and out so far for the Tiger Cats. A great kick against the breeze from Seta. Johnson contained at the 20-yard line. And here comes Stephen Giles. Who would have thought this would have happened today with all the talk of Double D, Darian Durant, and has looked poised at times and moved the football.
Yeah, he has.
But 3 interceptions means number 9 comes into the game.
He's moved the football, Rod, but he's moved it with his legs more than his arm at times. And he had over 70 yards rushing in this first half, Darian Durant. And I think in the passing game is a concern for Ken Miller. He wants to see what Stephen Giles can do throwing the ball.
So the music stopped and another quarterback came in. Giles in trouble.
We mentioned off the top, Ray Morrison talked about it from the sideline. In the last 3 games, 5 interceptions for Michael Bishop, and Ken Miller talked about it, that ball control was important. Well, he did not get the ball control he wanted from Darian Durant. 2 interceptions in the end zones, 2 interceptions by Jeff Tisdale, and Darian Durant finds himself on the bench. Wow.
Unbelievable in many ways. 7 for 16. Darian Durant has had a lot of success as a Rider quarterback this year. Again, has been around here the last couple of years. Not much playing time, just the green baseball cap and a clipboard most of the time.
And he talked about it coming into the game, that he just needed to get the football, manage the game, get it to his playmakers, and not trying to force the ball, make things happen when they're not there. And just a couple of throws that were just off the mark. I'll give full credit to that Hamilton secondary. Jeff Tisdale made 2 big plays on interceptions, and Chris Thompson's, he stole that from Weston Dressler. So, they're making plays in the secondary for Hamilton. You got to give, they get paid on the other side as well.
Rontarius Robinson, the former Rider who won a Grey Cup with Saskatchewan last year, a homecoming for him today, was looking forward to coming back. Ticat free safety, so they have to change their secondary here. 2nd down and 12 for Giles. It's a glove on one hand. Slings one out to the sideline for Rob Bagg, and a first down. The former receiver from Queen's University.
And Stephen Giles gets a chance to have lots of time in that pocket. So he's got 5-man protection up front, just a 4-man pressure package from the Hamilton Tiger Cats. So Giles has time to relax. Nice throwing lane. It's coming right at you.
Rob Bagg, one of those many receivers this year that has had to fill in for all of the injured receivers as the Riders start to get healthy. The Landy twos and almost picked. Matt Dominguez to midfield. Almost an interception, instead a big gainer. 3-minute warning. The Cats lead by 3. Coming up in 2 minutes and 45 seconds, send you back to the guys. Rona at the half. These guys get more airtime than Sarah Palin. Right? They're always on.
She was on Saturday Night Live. Yeah. You think they're going to be talking about some quarterback situation in Saskatchewan at halftime?
I would think. It's probably topical.
I think that's a big topic.
Steven Giles hands off up the middle.
That last throw by Steven Giles was very close to being intercepted by Lawrence Gordon, and he fell into that trap that a lot of young quarterbacks do, and it's that stare arrow. Watch how he takes the football. Now watch where his head goes quickly. Yeah, look at that. Head is there. Boom. And that's where he's staring, and he's locked in, throws it out there. Lawrence Gordon says, "You're going to look out there that long, I'm going to take it," and he just about intercepts that and takes it to the house.
Giles, a bullet. And once again, it's Getzlaff. Giles is no stranger, of course, to the CFL game. He's played in Edmonton the last couple of years, and with injuries to Ricky Ray, and remember Stephane Laforge was in there as well. Giles did get some valuable playing time. He was acquired by the Riders in the trade for Fred Perry,
who is now back in the lineup for Edmonton. First game back on Friday night.
Crowd doesn't like the call. They wanted Ken Miller to go for it here on 3rd down with 2:16 to go.
It's a long yard and a half. And I think Ken Miller...
We're going to try a field goal here. 55-yarder. And it's a big breeze. Big wind here. Luka Kanji, his longest is 51 on the season. Rob Bag holds. Hold down, kick up. Does he have enough? Oh, a Rider bounce.
Wow.
55 yards.
He needed to kick this baby 55, and he kicked it just 55. Well, he puts all he has into it. He does have a little bit of a breeze, and one hop off the crossbar, and it bounces through, and he had the right rotation on the ball, because how many of those have you seen hit the upright or the crossbar and bounced out? But he said he needed 55 yards. He had 55 yards and 1 inch.
Longest of the season in the Canadian Football League. The previous was 53. 2 minutes to go now. Tie ball game. Good ball game so far here in Regina. Trey Smith. Looks like pinball here. Smith takes a hit, bounces around, comes back. Let's take a listen in here.
Yeah, first of all, Quentin Porter, this is a play that they want him to do more. Just dump it out and get it out to your back sometime and let him run with it. Trey Smith has some fun running with
it. His name is Lyle C. Smith, but they're the 3rd generation, so they called him Trey Smith, out of Auburn.
I like Trey.
And caught on the sideline by Scott Mitchell. When it looked like Porter was just throwing it away, Mitchell makes the grab in dangerous territory, but he moves the yardsticks.
Yeah, it looked like it was Tad Cornegay. There's Mitchell in the middle of that 3-receiver side. And he runs that bang route. Bang to the inside. It was actually Lance Frazier right there. The bang to the inside and then back to the out.
Minute 27 to go before halftime. Porter in trouble, lets it go. Smith has it and makes something out of what looked like a loss. And that's something this Quentin Porter did not do a week ago in Montreal. He had to eat it.
He's already had a good week of practice, you can see, because that's what Danny McMahon has told us too, is that he's got to get this football out of his hands and not take that hit from Maurice Lloyd, not take the sack, And even if he has to throw it away or throw it at the feet of Trace Smith, that's what Danny McManus talked about. He's got to keep working on that. He looks better already in this game here this afternoon.
No one was better at the quick release than Danny Mac. Now working with the offense for the Cats. Time for Porter in the pocket. Rodriguez has another Hamilton first down.
Yeah, you know Danny McManus' theory on that, right? You know, he thought about it. You know, everyone marveled over McManus' quick release as a player, and his theory was that if it's out of my hands, they don't hit me. It's pretty simple, really, the game. They hit the guy that has the ball.
I always ask Danny Mac about the injuries. He said, what injuries? I just didn't get hit.
Yeah.
Porter hangs in. Bowman makes a nice grab. On 1st and 10 and picks up 4 or 5 in this final minute. And the Cats driving. They have to drive the football deep here, though. Remember, this is against the wind. The benefit that Luca Conji had, Nick Seta will not.
You know, one thing that Quentin Porter has done and Marcel Belfay's group, they've really taken the crowd. I mean, the crowd starts to get amped up a little bit here, but not like we've heard it in Mosaic.
Porter. Oh, drop the football. Is it live? No, it's not. Whistle blows. Maurice Lloyd picks it up, and I'll tell you what, it was pretty dangerous to being a live football.
Official waved it down and blew the whistle, and he was waving frantically to stop the play. And he is ruling this, I believe, as an incomplete forward pass, that his arm was going forward and he lost the grip of the football when it did. Very close. We had one like that last night.
Yeah, it looked like he was throwing it, trying to throw it.
And you can see, as long as the arm is in a forward motion, it'll be ruled an incomplete pass.
So now Seta will have to punt it away. His 6th punt of the afternoon, just before halftime. And there looks like there might be a challenge on the field here. Ken Miller thinking about challenging that, but I'm sure if he probably listened to the guys upstairs who's got a good look at that replay, might want to take that back.
The challenge process has worked quite well this year. I mean, I think if you look at the success rate, you'd be well into the deep into the 90s.
Saskatchewan has challenged the ruling on the field of incomplete pass.
I'm not so sure that Jake Ireland's going to have to take too much of a look at this one.
I think his arm was moving forward, and Ken Miller, though, you know, and as I mentioned that the challenge system has worked very well, and it's continuing to improve and be tweaked. I think you will see the ruling the same, is that his arm was going forward and the ball comes out of his hands with his arm in the forward motion. But the one thing that can continue to improve is the speed of which the challenges are executed, and that's from start when the challenge is made to the decision being made by the official. And this will be a quick coming out of the booth.
This is a quick one. Probably only had to take a look at one angle. 32 seconds to go before halftime.
After review, the quarterback's arm is going forward prior to losing possession of the ball. The ruling on the field stands. Incomplete pass.
It's almost as if, you know, I believe the official should have a little, like, an extra pager with a buzz. And it's almost like, you know, like the whoopee cushion all of a sudden. You know, they just get that buzz and it says, hey, tell the coach, forget it.
Yeah.
You know, let's not waste any time here.
Well, that process to talk to Ken Miller took a couple of minutes, and that's what we're talking about. But the decision under the hood was a quick one.
This is another great kick by Seta. And it looks like the Tiger Cats, unless the Roughriders can drive the football here in these final few seconds, will have the lead heading to the locker room.
Well, and I was going to say that Seta may have made a mistake there, but with just 24 seconds left, I think he might have wanted to kick the single there and take the point. The Saskatchewan Roughriders will get the football on the 35-yard line. They do have time for a couple of plays. Maybe 3, maybe 4 plays they could squeeze out of this 24 seconds. There is a chance for them to get into field goal range. They do have the wind at their back, but And with this much time left, maybe Seta did try to get that single.
Well, they got a kicker that can boot it in from 55 yards, so they got to get a couple first downs here. Giles decides to keep it on the ground to Wes Cates. Clock ticks down to 19 in the stadium here.
With what is on the line here for these two teams, though, when you consider Saskatchewan in the West and Hamilton out of the playoffs right now. Great first half of football for Marcel Belfay's team, especially on defense. That secondary came up with 3 big interceptions. Ken Miller's his team has got to be playing with a lot of urgency, and they've been making some uncharacteristic mistakes.
And they are not going to try to drive the football, and maybe because they've been prone to make mistakes, don't want to have another one here before halftime. And that's it for the opening 30 minutes, dominated by Hamilton's defense. Third time this year the Ticats actually have the lead heading into halftime. The boys in the studio next.
Live at the half is brought to you by Rona, proud sponsor of the CFL. Rona, the Canadian how-to people.
It is 12-11. Hamilton, somewhat surprisingly, leading the Saskatchewan Roughriders. Dave Randorf, Jock Climbing, Matt Dunnigan, and Chris Schultz. And as Rod and Glenn correctly pointed out, we're going to talk about the Riders quarterback situation here. So Darian Durant comes in. He's the starter today. Throws that pick in the end zone early, and we all start thinking, Remember, it was September 20th, BC at Saskatchewan. Michael Bishop's humming along. It's early in the game, throws a pick in the end zone, and he's given the hook so fast, and Durant is in.
He was 4 of 6 at that point.
4 of 6 at that point. Yeah, it was, and so anyway, Durant comes in, and now this guy, Durant, has thrown 3 interceptions in one half, 2 in the end zone. What's up?
Yeah, well, you know what? It's probably not that surprising. He's rusty is what he is. It looks to me like his timing is just off. Let's have a look at the 3 interceptions, and we can break it down here. It's pretty clear it happened with the 2 in the end zone. Both of them are simply late and short. Day late, dollar short, as they call it here. He reads properly that the safety had squatted. That's the right read. He just threw it late. Here he's got a corner. Dominguez on the corner. You can't throw a corner when your receiver is already there. And here he is late and wide. I mean, this is Dresser on the sit-down turnout, and it was an okay read. He just threw it wide and late. So I say it's rust. But does he get a chance to keep playing at this?
Well,
I mean, once again, they just pull.
Yeah, and there's a ton of questions now, which I'll pose to you. What do they do? If Giles doesn't perform and pull this one out of the hat in the second half, or if Durant doesn't go, they are 2 weeks away from the playoffs, Matt, and we don't know who their quarterback is.
Yeah, we can actually maybe see Bishop before the game's over with if Giles doesn't perform, because this is a must-win for Saskatchewan to keep their first place hopes alive in the West. But I can tell you, this is quickly becoming a debacle in Saskatchewan as far as I'm concerned, because there seems to be no rhyme or reason. When Durant was healthy just a couple weeks ago, they went with Bishop, and it was like they're going to go with him down the stretch because he gave him the best chance. And then they quickly decided in Week 17 that wasn't the case. Now, bang, you say he's got rust. Durant's been pulled out of the game in the first half. Stephen Giles is in there, who we thought was completely out of the picture the way he played in BC early on in the football season.
Let me say this, and I want your opinions. I say leave the kid in. Trying to find football players is a painful process. They go through mistakes regardless of the position that they play. If you're a left tackle, you're going to give up a sack. You may give up 2 or 3 at certain points in your career. Stay in the game and learn it. I don't know. I understand the urgency.
In.
Yes, I do. Leave Durant in.
Yeah, do you think we're going to see him in the second half and they're going to kind of take him off? Hey, this is what's going on. Settle down.
Settle down.
Let's go back in there. And if that would make sense to me, if this is your guy.
But I know who it would make sense to everybody but Michael Bishop.
Well, I was just going to say, if you're talking patience,
yes,
you should have shown some patience
with Michael Bishop. It's a process, though, but you know what it's like. Remember when you made mistakes when you dropped the football? If somebody,
not really, Chris.
We all make mistakes.
You can't play the game in fear of making mistakes.
That's a great point. That's very true. That leave the kid in. This is a process. The fact is, I know the urgency. I know the playoffs. Leave them in.
Well, you know what? They have never been dull, have they? From the start of the season, the Saskatchewan
very entertaining.
have always provided stuff to talk about, and they're down by 1 at home at the half.
Will he get to the end zone? Yes, he will. It is picked off to the end zone for the touchdown. Turned around, picked off again, and it's Jeff Tisdale.
Welcome back. Here are the halftime numbers brought to you by Tim Hortons. Jock.
Carrying the theme over, they brought Michael Bishop in to rush the football. They took him out because he threw too many interceptions. Well, Darian Durant had 75 yards rushing of this 115. They've taken him out because of 3 interceptions. What's up is down, what's black is white.
Interesting. Marcel Belfay, the interim head coach at Hamilton, spoke with our Ray Morrison.
Marcel, let's talk about your defense. A couple of big interceptions in the end zone.
Yeah, you know, they're doing a great job of getting around the receivers and making plays. And, you know, obviously we have a few turnovers, which were critical to us in the first half.
What about Porter? Give me your thoughts on his play here.
He's playing well. He's getting rid of the football and putting the ball in players' hands. We just got to make more plays on second down. We had a couple drops. We could have stayed on the field and continue to move the sticks.
Thanks.
You're welcome.
Ticats up by 1 as we are wrapping up week number 17 in the regular season. Corey Warren has dropped by for a little visit to tell us what's going on in the world of sports. Hello.
Hey, Dave, you know, it's only week 7 in the NFL, and you talk about Saskatchewan after that great start in the CFL this year. The Buffalo Bills were 4-0, but they had a bye week to think about their first loss, trying to get back in the win column today. This was a game that was delayed because some helium balloons took out the power to the stadium when they hit the power lines across the street, but the Bills do win it. 23-14 over San Diego. Ravens and Dolphins. Chad Pennington under pressure throws it right to Terrell Suggs, who takes it back 44 yards. Ravens beat Miami 27-13. Undefeated Titans taking on the Chiefs. Lendale White breaks through, and he is long gone. 3rd touchdown of the game. This one from 80 yards. Tennessee 6-0 with a 34-10 win. Just a reminder, SportsCenter coming up after the game. We will have all the highlights from Week 7 in the NFL. We'll get you set for a football night in America. And of course, we'll preview a big Game 7 in the ALCS.
Back in Regina, TSN, exclusive broadcaster of the Canadian Football League, proud home of the Grey Cup. The Hamilton Tiger Cats surprising the Saskatchewan Roughriders heading into the 3rd quarter. The biggest surprise, who is at quarterback for the Riders. With more, here's Ray Morrison and Saskatchewan head coach Ken Miller.
Your second half starting quarterback.
Well, it's going to be Stephen Giles, and Stephen managed the ball game really well when he went in there in the 2nd quarter. So he's going to start the 3rd quarter for us.
Is there any chance of seeing Darian again today? And what went wrong?
Well, he threw those 3 interceptions, and we took points off the board. And that was a bad thing. So Darian is not going to play anymore today unless we just get into an emergency situation.
Okay, thanks, Ken.
You know, I appreciate the coach's candor too, and just being up front with us with that information that Stephen Giles is going, and we will not see Darian Durant unless an injury situation, and that's head coach of the Saskatchewan Roughriders being very professional with that interview, giving us the information. At the end of the day, we're just the messenger, but every fan wanted to know what's going on at quarterback. He just told you.
Bursting outside. Penalty flags everywhere. Vincent Marshall on the return as the second half opens up. Being very frank and candid is Ken Miller, but also obviously making a hard, tough decision, because I think there might be some people who might be a little mystified with what might be considered a quick hook on Darian Durant, especially considering he hasn't played in a while.
Yeah, I mean, I think that's what one of the things the guys were kicking around at halftime at the studio is it was a quick hook in that he may have rust. Jock talked about maybe Darian Durant had rust on him. But in order for Ken Miller to stay consistent, when he pulls Michael Bishop for 3 bad interceptions, you got to pull Darian Durant for 3 bad interceptions if you're going to stay consistent.
Giles 3 for 3, now 4 for 4. Weston Dressler brought down by Jeff Tisdale, who had a good game here today on coverage. Couple of picks already.
But this is all of a sudden a very quiet Mosaic Stadium and a very important football game for them. As quiet as I've heard it this season. And an important game where Ken Miller has to figure out who is their starting quarterback.
Well, especially considering the calendar is running out here. Yeah. Only a couple of games left in this regular season into the postseason. There were no question marks a year ago who the quarterback was. Wes Cates hit hard again by Tisdale on the corner.
Jeff Tisdale's putting together a very good football game. A couple of interceptions in that first half, some big plays. Nice tackles in the open field. He had 2 or 3 of them in the first half. And then this hit on Wes Cates.
Here is a guy who came right out of college It's a free agent into camp this year out of Pittsburgh State, Jeff Tisdale, and JoJo Walker is back. Saskatchewan with the wind here in the third quarter. Hamilton will have the wind in the fourth. Cats with a 1-point advantage. The CFL on TSN is brought to you in part by Nissan's Make the Call. Play on cfl.nissan.ca for your chance to win a trip to the Grey Cup. And that Grey Cup is looming. Only a couple weeks left in the season and playoffs. November 2-3 in Montreal. Who will be there? Hamilton will not. Cats playing out the season, looking ahead to next year. And maybe trying to play spoilers here in Saskatchewan today.
And I think Quentin Porter is having a bounce-back game here from a week ago where he had just 167 yards passing and threw 2 interceptions, no touchdowns. He's been moving the football effectively. He's got his football team on the road in Mosaic Stadium with a 1-point lead after the first half. Now, it's important in this third quarter for him to win the time of possession battle. They're going into the wind.
Porter, spiral up to the far sideline for Davis. Touchdown earlier today, and some broken coverage by the Riders.
What Quentin Porter wants to do, and you heard Marcel Belfay, the head coach, talk about it at halftime. They want him in the third quarter now to make a couple of those second down throws to keep the chains moving. If they can win the time of possession battle in the third quarter when they're into the wind, then they can go for field position and points with the wind at their back in the fourth quarter.
He's been operating a little like Anthony Calvillo today. Quick hitters, 10-yarders, nothing really deep so far anyway. Porter again, this time a little deeper. What a catch again by Preche Rodriguez.
Yeah, and that's one that Quentin Porter probably run down there to Preche Rodriguez and say, okay, yeah, you bailed me out there because I threw it into coverage. Probably wasn't the guy I should have been throwing it to. There's Preche Rodriguez on the outside. And watch the attention. Omar Morgan's there, Eddie Davis. You can see the safety, Scott Gordon, come over there, and Preche Rodriguez just reached to that football and caught it with his hands first.
Great mitts on Preche Rodriguez. He's shown it all season. His first season in the Canadian Football League. Trey Smith.
Not surprised here to see Marcel Belfay go with some more run. And in the first half, after 5 series, they had run the ball just twice. But this is that quarter, again, time of possession so important into the wind for this team now that they want to go on the ground and keep that clock running.
There was some talk before the game about John Williams getting a chance to run the football. He did last week against Montreal. We have not seen him take the football yet today. It's been Trey Smith and a knock down. Second time by that Rider front line. Luke Mullender again filling in for the injured Stevie Baggs.
Boy, the Riders on defense give you so many different looks. They bring pressure. Sometimes they show pressure and then drop off. There's Mullender's right mitt knocking that one out of the air. You see Scott Gordon up there. He was out of the middle and up in the box, up in that line of scrimmage.
James Johnson had an outstanding return. Kiwana Jones moved on the line. So that now will make it 3rd and 1, providing it is offside against Saskatchewan.
Offside. Saskatchewan number 46. 5-yard penalty. It remains 3rd down.
So Seta is staying out. And they are
taking a long look.
Yeah, they're taking a look now. Marcel Belfay looking at that yard stick right there. But stays with Seta, playing field position right now. Obviously also respecting that Saskatchewan D.
And that his defense is playing well. The Hamilton defense playing well this afternoon. I'm sure that was part of the decision.
They'll be trying to draw them again here. Seta trying to angle this one, but it stays in the middle of the field to Johnson at the 5. Up to the 15-yard line. 1-point game here with 10.5 to go in the third quarter. Hamilton on top. Well, here's our sack attack. Sack tally, the BC Lions, and Cameron Wake, the quarterback-eating monster of the BC Lions, leading the way.
Yeah.
Purelator, where business is going. You see Hamilton only 21 sacks. The one sack in today's game from Rontarius Robinson. Saskatchewan, no sacks. And the Tiger Cats have given up a league-high 59 sacks this year. And Wes Cates once again had the Trans-Canada Highway in front of him.
Well, it was a good call. Paul LaPolice is the offensive coordinator for the Saskatchewan Roughriders. He will have a chance to talk to Ken Miller regarding the quarterbacks, regarding the play calling. That was the perfect call in that situation. And you're right, Wes Cates had lots and lots of room to run, but you can't always figure on the human element. And that was Wes Cates dropping the ball. He's got a little rust on him.
Well, the Saskatchewan Roughriders try to get rid of this rust. They'll get rid of it soon. The playoffs on the horizon, and what a pop. Vincent Marshall gets hit hard here by Chris Thompson.
You've heard the term bang bang play?
Bang bang.
That's here listen to this. If this is a bang bang play. Bang bang.
Wow. These Hamilton Tiger Cats have come into Regina today, and again, credit this team, only 3-12, a team that has been mired in a losing stretch the last 4 or 5 seasons. JoJo Walker is back, and they've come here to play today, treating it like a playoff game, even though they have no hope for the postseason. Walker over the midfield stripe, and good field position here for Quinton Porter and the Tiger Cats. Chance to extend their lead when we return to Mosaic. Boomerang day today, a bounce back for Quinton Porter after last week. With more, let's go down to Ray Morrison.
Yeah, Rod, you and Glenn were talking earlier about Quinton Porter checking down, looking at his second and third options. That is one of the things that he has done a good job of today. Didn't do it 1 week ago. One of the things that Marcel Belfay, the head coach, and Danny McManus have been talking about is, can Quinton Porter be the next quarterback? When you think about it, Danny McManus was the last quarterback from year to year that the Ticats have had as a bona fide starter. They think Porter can be that next guy.
Well, he is suffering from some of those things that young quarterbacks have happened to them, and that's that inconsistency that has plagued Michael Bishop in many ways. Think about it. Quinton Porter's first start against the BC Lions, 10 sacks thrown to the Lions. His next start has a breakthrough game.
Yeah.
Next start,
holding.
Bit of an ugly one.
Hamilton number 65. 10-yard penalty. Repeat. First down.
Well, and you know, Rod, you compare him. That's a holding against the Ticats, so to put him in first and long. But you compared that to Michael Bishop, which is interesting because Michael Bishop's going through that in year 7 of his CFL career. This is Quinton Porter is a rookie out there.
So far, so good today for the Cats and Porter. There's the rush. Rodriguez now looking for a block and some running room. And still on his feet, but only a few positive yards. First and long.
What a veteran play by Eddie Davis, the halfback on this play, Rod, because he's patient with it and he doesn't panic at the point of attack. First of all, Quinton Porter makes a nice read to see the blitz and gets it out of there. Now watch Eddie Davis be patient. He's going to step up and be patient here rather than just take his shot and go right for the tackle quickly. He's patient, waits for his friends, and they've got him for limited gain.
So second and 20 now. And a few times that Porter may go vertical here now. Hangs in over the middle again. But short of the first down, Scott Mitchell.
Number 89, Scott Mitchell.
That seems to be the outlet for Quinton Porter when he's in trouble, to look over the middle and finding a guy like Scott Mitchell.
Third down.
Well, Mitchell, by the time that play was extended and the protection up front was good for Quinton Porter, then now Eddie Davis has got to drop Mitchell and go to his zone coverage, and he's dropping it basically to the linebackers and Maurice Lloyd. Maurice Lloyd sees it a little bit late and reacts, but Hamilton will still be short after that first penalty, the holding call, by about 5 yards.
Busiest guy for the Ticats today, the guy kicking it away again, Nick Seta. His 8th punt of the afternoon, under 8 minutes to go in the third quarter. Johnson's been busy too. And there was a late penalty flag. It's been a long time since the Hamilton Tiger Cats have beaten the Saskatchewan Roughriders. Not only here, just beaten them, period.
No yards. Hamilton number 40, 15-yard penalty, first down.
Cats have lost 9 straight regular season games dating back to 2003. TSN, also the home of the NFL. Sunday Night Football continues tonight. Seahawks and the Buccaneers, and Monday Night Football, Broncos and the Patriots. Coverage beginning at 7:30 Eastern, 4:30 Pacific.
Matt Hasselbeck's out of that game for Seattle.
Hand off right side. Cates. Again, returning to the lineup like Matt Dominguez as the Roughriders search for some continuity before the postseason.
You know, there were times this year when Wes Cates was healthy that you thought that he had an S on his chest the way he played. I mean, a couple of times he was approaching 200-yard games by himself when you add the rushing yards and the receiving yards, and it will take him a game or two to get back into the swing of things. He's trying to get through this injury, and it doesn't just happen in one snap.
Well, false start there.
It's always interesting to see the defensive and offensive lines on these kind of plays start pointing immediately after. No, it wasn't me, it was him. It was him, it was me. No, it was him. Glenn January was doing a lot of pointing. Terrence Patrick pointing back.
Procedure. Saskatchewan number 69. 5-yard penalty. It remains second down.
I really don't think the pointing influences the officials.
Sometimes the players like to think it is that way. There's Glenn January.
A different look for Glenn
January.
Yeah,
very different look. I wonder if the helmet fits.
They had to put more air in it.
Second down and 9. Giles. Shotgun. Time this time. Sidearm toss to Getzlaff again, short of the first down. Reason we talk about that, because usually through the years we've known Glenn January to have quite a bit of foliage.
Yeah, that's, if your hair's not happy, you're not. That's happy hair.
That's happy. 18 inches of hair. He hasn't, I don't think he's taken scissors to it in like a decade, and he shaved his head the last few days, and this all part of breast cancer research and raising money. Mike Abu-Meshrik also involved. A few of the riders shaved their heads, helping raise money for a very important cause. So
great
good
cause,
to them.
And good job, Glenn January, Mike Abu-Meshrik. Nice job by those guys.
Borum. Great kick. Walker accelerating now around the right side. Shakes one tackle, but is caught up at the 30-yard line. Still a 1-point game. Cats leading 12-11. Well, Tuesday night, it's an NHL on TSN doubleheader. Game 1, Anaheim Ducks travel to Toronto to take on the Maple Leafs. Game 2, Alexander Ovechkin and the Caps roll into Calgary to take on Iginla and the Flames. Live coverage begins 7 Eastern. Available TSN high definition.
Well, it's great.
Getzlaff.
Great to do a game with you again, my old partner, Rod, and my partner most of the time. Chris is calling that Flames games with Ray Ferraro.
Is he?
So
there you go.
He's doing that hockey crossover thing right now a little bit as well.
Well, these fans here, whether they're not wearing some sort of wig or helmet or melon or whatever that is, skulls. I'll tell you what, they do it all here, and game day is unlike anything else in the Canadian Football League.
How long did it take to put that baby together?
Halloween has come early. And
what's that? Is that a tube of beverage coming around the corner there?
Well, yeah, you got to do it intravenously after a while.
Got to stay warm somehow.
Young and old, they love their riders here. 6 minutes to go. With their ears Pin back here, Trey Smith. Not only the running back today for the Cats, but also the roommate of Quinton Porter. So these guys know each other well.
For the Hamilton Tiger Cats, 3 or 4 first downs right here. If they win the game, I would call that the turning point. They're into the win with 5:30 left. They get 3 or 4 more first downs and keep it away, keep the Riders out of that field goal range. They got a chance with the win at their back in the 4th.
Well, hot potato out there for Scott Mitchell. Lance Fraser in on the coverage.
And they're not going to get those 3 or 4 first downs against this Rider defense that starting to turn it up a notch.
Well, the major scores have come in this direction with the wind today as we take a look again at the toss by Porter.
That's why I was talking about time of possession and the field position, because the Riders have been bottled up in this 3rd quarter with the wind at their back for basically the entire 3rd quarter. Now they're going to get real good field position and be almost in field goal position the moment they catch this football.
Now Seta again has a great leg. Best punter right now in the Canadian Football League, averaging 47.4 per kick. On his goal line, however, and he will give up 2 points. Kind of wandering around, and well, he's eating some valuable seconds on the clock, and so maybe a smart move here, a field position maneuver by Marcel Belfait.
Okay, this is, I'll tell you something, this will be the last time I bring it up.
Okay. Go ahead.
But it has been a bit of a mission of mine this year to discuss a possible rule change in the
You don't like the
football.
safeties, huh?
Well, I don't like that the strategy is almost out of it now. I mean, Marcel Belfait just gave up the lead. Now, I know he's into the wind, and into the wind, you're not going to get a very good kick. The Saskatchewan Roughriders get it at field goal range anyway. But, and I say this is a big but, I've seen this happen in the Dome, game in, game out. I've seen this happen without wind, or wind at the back of the kicker, where they're standing on the goal line, standing inside the 1 yard inside the goal line, and they're automatically giving up safeties. The way I'd like to see the rule changed is if you give up a safety, you've got to kick off from the 20 or at best the 25.
That's a good point, because yeah, we have seen an inordinate amount of it over the last few years, where almost on every occasion they take the knee or run out of the end zone, and you are absolutely shocked when they kick it away. The reverse used to be true.
Yeah, it really should be, and you know, most of the coaches and players that I've talked to agree, not all, but most agree that it could be changed for the better, because now you kick off from the 35, so yes, you get that field position, but it should be more of a penalty. The defense just bottled them up down there. Anyway, that'll be the last time.
Oh, you know, for today.
Yeah,
but, you know, I think it's a good crusade. I'm with you on that one. Oh, a line drive kick that gets past Johnson, and he slips and goes backwards. What a kick by Seta against the wind.
And what
the Riders with their first lead of the ball game, by the way.
And what a great decision to give up a safety.
Isn't that an amazing thing that happens? Great strategy.
Yeah,
okay.
I'm kidding.
You
but
knew that was going to happen.
Yeah, but you know what? That's just misplayed there by James Johnson, and it looked like a communication issue between him and Marshall. And one of the guys, it's usually the guy on the right side, is the guy who calls it. It's either you or me, and they had a communication error, and the ball got between them.
Riders with their first lead, a 1-point advantage now because of that safety. Stephen Giles goes deep. Downfield, Getzlaff has it. What a throw by Giles. That was a missile.
Stephen Giles goes on the full roll here because he has to buy himself enough time to have this pattern work. Chris Getzlaff down, out, and up. It's called the wheel route, or a double move. You go down, you break to the sideline, and then turn it up. And it fools Lawrence Gordon, who took a peek back in the backfield when Chris Getzlaff first made that first cut to the out pattern. And then when he turns it up, he's too late. He has to just run him down and save a touchdown.
Again, a guy who was drafted by Hamilton, not play very much with the Ticats on the practice roster. 55-yard catch and run for Getzlaf. And one of those many players the Riders have had to use practically duct tape in their lineup this year. DJ Flick goes down. Andy Fantuz goes down. Matt Dominguez down. Darius Bowman down. All of these receivers, and a guy like Getzlaf gets a big chance to play. And today he's getting a bit of a last laugh on the Hamilton Tiger Cats.
Yeah, and they say that some of those injured receivers will be back. We've seen Matt Dominguez used sparingly today. He started the football game, but Andy Fantuz is very close. DJ Flick getting close.
Cates, Wes Cates, room now. Straight arm knocked out at the 13-yard line.
One big play to Chris Getzlaf really flops the field position here. There is Wes Cates, and watch the big block by Chris Zarka, who started from one side here and came across, and there's that block there. That opens up the hole for Cates. Huge momentum swing on the one play to Chris Getzlaf. They get that field position in a huge chunk, and now it looks like a different Hamilton defense all of a sudden.
And again, after that safety touch, Giles, who did not start today, Darian Durant threw 3 interceptions in the first half. Durant, little out pattern here. Neil Hughes, touchdown! Maybe there isn't a quarterback controversy anymore, because Darian Durant out, Stephen Giles in, and he moves the football.
Well, and Stephen Giles has had limited reps in the offense when you consider he has just moved to number 2 this week. He puts together a real good drive, and on the drive he was throwing on the run, and that looks like he may be more comfortable throwing on the run.
So another Regina Ram putting one in the end zone. All the major scores today have come to that end zone with the wind. And again, Hamilton will have the wind in the final quarter. 20-12 now.
From a strategic point of view, Marcel Belfay was playing that third quarter almost to perfection. He had the Saskatchewan Roughriders bottled up in their own end. They couldn't use the wind at their back to kick long field goals. And then in one play, Chris Getzlaf changed all of that with that wheel route. The out and up down the sideline, and a nice throw by Stephen Giles. He caps off that drive with a touchdown, and they get points with the wind at their back.
Getzlaf and Hughes the touchdowns. Stephen Giles, look at those numbers, 8 for 9, including that one that stretched the secondary of the Cats, and this one by Chris Getzlaf.
Well, we've heard it before, but football is such a game of momentum swings, and it looked like it was Hamilton controlling that third quarter, keeping Saskatchewan bottled up. That play changed the momentum. Cates jumped on that momentum, got a big run up the middle, and Stephen Giles caps it off with a nice throw out in the flat to Neil Hughes, who was the backup for Wes Cates when he was out, and did a real good job filling in for Cates. He gets another touchdown.
Jamie Borum, under 3 minutes to go in the third quarter. JoJo Walker reverses field. Walker shakes one and then spun to the ground shy of the 30-yard line.
This is the type of time that at this season that the Saskatchewan defense have really turned up their intensity dial. They got a big play out of their offense now, and watch how that momentum will carry over to the defensive side of the football. I wouldn't be surprised to see Quentin Porter see all kinds of blitz from Richie Hall, the defensive coordinator right here, or at least some stunts from those very quick linebackers like Maurice Lloyd.
Back at it is Porter. And a good job protecting the ball so far. And that one, an errant toss to Bauman. has done a good job protecting it, just not moving it very effectively.
Well, one of the things I've noticed with the receiving corps being so young in Hamilton, that I've noticed all year long, is that, you know, they have become better at running their initial routes. Where they fall off drastically from a veteran group is once the play is extended, they can't find ways to get open.
2 minutes to go, third quarter. 20-12, Saskatchewan. Here's the toss to Bauman over the middle.
See, again, there's an example of it. The initial route, if the timing is there from quarterback to receiver, and it was on that play, Quentin Porter drops back. He hits Bauman coming over the middle, and Bauman makes that great catch. There's Bauman right there on the inside. He's going to run that in route. Here he comes around the corner. Timing's there. Now, if he had to scramble around, their scramble rules aren't set yet.
It's a Regina Rams alumni game today. Porter to Davis. About a yard short, depending on the spot, maybe even less than that, from moving the yardsticks again.
See the instincts of Quentin Porter there to just fall off a little bit. He had Maurice Lloyd in his face, linebacker, and his instincts as a quarterback, playing through college and all his years, he just falls back to buy himself an extra second.
Marcel Belfay making a return to Saskatchewan. Was the offensive coordinator for 3 years before last year. Second in short yardage. Porter taking it himself.
You know, I was wondering about blitz from the Rider defense to try and take the momentum. We haven't seen it yet in this series. We've seen a couple of stunts so far in this football game. Richie Hall has sent one linebacker 14 times. That would be a stunt or a 5-man rush with a 4-down lineman. He sent 2 linebackers 4 times and 3 linebackers, the whole group, twice. So not a lot of full-out blitz yet from Saskatchewan.
And no Rider sacks. Quick hitter. Far side. Trey Smith just out of the backfield, and once again, it'll be second in short yardage.
You know, how many drives, Rod, you were just mentioning in the break there that the Ticats were going 2 and out. They went 2 and out a bunch there. And then all of a sudden, this is a bounce back drive for them because Saskatchewan gets points with the wind, and Hamilton just ate up the rest of the third quarter.
A far sideline in the sun, the rest of the field being enveloped now by shadows. Final play of the third quarter. Trey Smith, the first down. Hand off to the roomie, and it works. And the Cats moving the football. They'll change sides and have the wind. Trying to play spoilers today at Mosaic. Saskatchewan with a third quarter surge, 20-12. Our numbers heading to the fourth quarter, brought to you by Tim Hortons. Always fresh, always.
Well, Stephen Giles takes over at quarterback. The Saskatchewan Roughriders over 300 net yards. He's starting to get his game together. But a bounce-back series here for Quentin Porter as he's got another first down in his hands.
You know, the Canadian Football League has always been called sort of a quarterback league. I know you were a safety, but it's always been called a quarterback league, and it's just an interesting, compelling comparison between these two quarterbacks today. Stephen Giles, who wasn't even really supposed to be in this game, and Quentin Porter, who is really growing into a quarterback.
Yeah, and Quentin Porter, they're saying, could be an answer for Hamilton down the road. That's why they want to take a good long look at him. Maybe Stephen Giles is all of a sudden the answer. But, you know, I should remind Rider fans that Michael Bishop won his first 2 games when he arrived in Saskatchewan. So if Stephen Giles can hang on to this game and win it, doesn't necessarily mean they found their answer completely at quarterback.
And might Quentin Porter be an answer next year for the Cats? Hard shot this time, and throws it to Priche Rodriguez. Does not happen very often. The guy's got arms like an octopus, and not this time.
You know, it hasn't happened very often, and it will happen. Every player goes through this, but the Hamilton Tiger Cats are a rush end, a couple of offensive linemen, maybe one more receiver, and an ability to finish away from being a really good football team.
And a belief that they can win close football games. Going for the shot to the end zone. Oh, what a catch! Scott Mitchell hauls it in for the touchdown, and a beauty.
Quentin Porter throws it up for grabs basically because the coverage was as good as you can get down there by the Saskatchewan secondary, but that is the upside of this receiving corps. They may be young, but they're big. And Scott Mitchell, with that height advantage, goes up on Lance Frazier and just pulls it down like you would a rebound in basketball. Touchdown, Hamilton.
At the end of this year, before the playoffs, I know the panel will do it. We'll show you the catches of the year. That might be an hour-long show.
Yeah.
There have been so many great ones. Still a one-point game. The CFL on TSN is brought to you in part by CFL All-Star Voting. On now. Go to futureshop.ca/all-star and vote for your favorite player today. What has turned into a very good football game.
Quentin Porter's favorite player is that guy right there, Scott Mitchell.
He wants a watch.
Yeah, it's the wrong night, but
it's okay. That's why he needs a watch. The wrong day.
Wrong day, but
hey, that catch, though, outstanding by Scott Mitchell. You talked about receivers. There's certainly been a difference in height this year for the Hamilton Tiger Cats. It's made a difference.
Boy, those players love those Movados. Look at this. It's nothing fancy here from Scott Mitchell. He's going to just straight go route, just fly down the field. And watch how he uses his hands just like a basketball player would and just wins that jump ball. I mean, he is 6'3". Lance Frazier is 5'10". And he wins the jump ball, and just like that, it's a one-point game.
Difference in this game is that safety so far, but again, the Cats have the wind here in this fourth quarter. Neil Hughes jukes one. Gets another to miss. Good play by Giles.
I'm going to go back to that touchdown one more time because Quentin Porter doesn't throw it if not for a big block here by Trey Smith, his tailback. Tailback's got to pick up blitzers. Where's the blitz coming from? It's Scott Gordon up the middle on the safety. Now watch how he just gets him there, because if he's free to come through, he hits Quentin Porter right in the mouth. So he gets the time there from Trey Smith, and the jump ball's one at the other end.
Come on. Trey Smith, starting running back today. Big block. Giles with time. Oh, touchdown, Joaquin Bradley. Another interception. There is a penalty flag on the play. 4 interceptions by the Saskatchewan Roughrider quarterbacks today.
Offside. Saskatchewan number 18.
And it was offside Saskatchewan, the penalty flag, so the touchdown will stand. This pass coming from the pocket. Where did Giles have success in the last series? He had success on the run, rolling out and throwing on the run. From the pocket, Glenn January got kind of collapsed. And with his man right in the lap of Stephen Giles, he didn't really have a throwing lane and didn't see Joaquin Bradley.
There are people in Hamilton right now wondering, where did all this come from? Tiger Cats back in front. Their secondary's been awesome. The CFL on TSN is brought to you in part by Rona, proud sponsor of the CFL. Rona, the Canadian how-to people.
Those aerial shots brought to you by Chop Cam.
Paul Hemming,
our director.
Did a nice job. Coming in from Calgary this morning. Look over the prairies. Right now, it is suddenly quiet once again at Mosaic Stadium. We've had 9 lead changes in this game, and unfortunately for Saskatchewan Roughrider fans, not a lot to cheer about from their quarterbacks.
Well, they've thrown some interceptions here in this game, and that secondary for Hamilton playing very well. We've said many times, when a quarterback has a throwing lane, when he has that throwing lane, and he's got a lane of vision to his receiver. And we go back and show you this interception by Joaquin Bradley. You see Stephen Giles, he's going to have the throwing lane. Now he peeks here. See him peeking there, Now he's looking in this direction. That direction is looking straight out there to his intended target who is open. Then he loses that throwing lane. Look at that. Now he is completely blocked. Cannot see what's happening in the secondary. Joaquin Bradley takes advantage of that blocked vision, jumps underneath that route, and Stephen Giles never saw him.
Touchdown, touchdown. We all fall down. Quite like some of the new touchdown celebrations. Winnipeg seems to be leading the league lately in creativity. Wes Cates gobbled up.
You know, Rod, it's good to see the Hamilton Tigers have some fun. But, I look at this. Watch all the DBs. The DBs and receivers love this stuff. You see all the DBs, linebackers, they all fall. Look at big Terrence Patrick.
Well, he wasn't in he didn't go to rehearsal class.
Yeah, well, the defensive lineman says, are you kidding me? You want me to fall on the ground and have to get up again? And by the way, he was the guy who provided pressure. He was in the face of Stephen Giles for that interception, so he gets the helper on it.
Second down, 12 yards for Giles. Riders down 6. Here's the pursuit. Giles bursting outside, but will be short of a first down. And suddenly, Boo Bird's out here, hovering over the defending Grey Cup champions. Very restless in Rider Nation these days.
Yeah, and they're restless because they're not sure about what quarterback they have going into the playoffs here with a couple of games left in the regular season. They've seen all 3 they have on the roster make mistakes and interceptions. 3 from Darian Durant if you're just joining us in the first half. 3 last week by Michael Bishop. 1 right there by Stephen Giles.
The wobbly kick from Borum. Good field position here for the Cats. JoJo Walker into Saskatchewan territory. Let's go downstairs to Ray Morrison.
Well, this weekend caps off a real big tradition here. It's the Plaza of Honor weekend, and this is something that started back in 1987 when the late Ron Lancaster was inducted. And this year's class, very, very good as well. You can see Tom Campana, Ted Provost, and Saskatoon's Laurie Skullroot among the 2008 inductees. And of course, Rod, if you go back a whole decade, a long time ago, that's when our own Glenn Sutter was inducted. But it really is the culmination of a great weekend here in Regina.
Well, it's all about tradition and nostalgia, and it's about pride here, Rider pride. Trey Smith and opening up the middle, and big gainer for him. I know it's a great honor, and you loved wearing the green and white when you played here. It's something that you always have with you, but to look up and your grandkids grandkids can come to the Plaza of Honor and see your name up there.
Tremendous honor, and I look at the names on the Plaza of Honor, and Ron Lancaster being one of them. By the way, Ted Provost, it wasn't his fault on the Tony Gabriel touchdown. Okay, let's get that straight.
Trey Smith again. Trey Smith. This is all about auditions as well for next year. This is a very crowded backfield in Hamilton. Jesse Lumsden, Terry Cawley, Kenton Keith, and Trey Smith.
And the guy who is also auditioning, Rod, is their head coach, Marcel Belfait, because I talked to Bob Obilovich before this game. He's here in Mosaic Stadium. He said at the end of the season, he's going to evaluate how he's coached the final 3-4 games of the season.
Again on the ground. Interesting to note they've really gone to the ground here with the wind changing things up.
No, because now they can chip away, take time off the clock. They've got field goal range already bottled up, so that makes it a 2-score game. And these are sound decisions, and Marcel Belfait is being evaluated on these decisions. At the end of the year, Bob Obilovich will bring in other coaches or start to interview other coaches. He doesn't have to interview Marcel Belfait. He knows enough about him. But he does want to see how he manages games down the stretch here, so it's important for him.
Second down and 7 now. Cats with the lead. Porter over the middle again and unable to hang on. Chris Davis, who scored the first touchdown of this football game.
to match that score, the bounce back series from Quentin Porter has been the big one in this game. When Stephen Giles moved the ball, he got the big play to Chris Getzlaff. Remember that one just before the end of the third quarter. And it looked like the Riders were going to get some points with the win, and then they were going to take that lead and run with it with some momentum. But that bounce back drive by Porter has made this a very different ballgame.
Just inside the 30-yard line for Nick Setta with Porter holding. Porter puts the ball down. The kick is up, and it is through. And the lead is now 9. Cats have not won against Saskatchewan since 03. Well, there's Gaynor. Sports Center with Corey Warren coming up next.
Wow. He just swallowed that crow.
Eating crow, you know, that's something that a lot of us have had to do through the years. You know exactly what that tastes like.
Yeah.
Giles, Weston Dressler. Dressler down the sidelines, and a big first down by Weston Dressler. Only his 3rd catch of the afternoon.
Well, Dressler starts in motion from the opposite side. Then he's going to come all the way across the backfield and outflank the Hamilton defense. Rob Bagg had come in from the wide receiver and picked on the inside any of the secondary, so it was just Terrence Patrick trying to run him down. That's why Dressler got the corner.
Into Hamilton territory now. 8.5 minutes to go, fourth quarter. 29-20 Hamilton. Giles has been effective rolling, not this time. Brought down by Darrell Adams. Well, last time these two teams met back in July, remember what happened? Weston Dressler did this late in the game. Looked like a touchdown, and Joaquin Bradley batted the ball out, and then we had quite a bit of a delay and some controversy.
And it was a huge breakout game for Dressler, who's just got the 3rd catch in this one.
Of course, the Riders got the ball at the 1 as Giles takes off. Oh, helmet-to-helmet collision at the end, but a first down. And remember what happened there, that it was ruled that the ball was batted out of bounds off of Dressler. Saskatchewan got the ball at the 1, won the game, and continued their win streak over the Ticats, now 9 games and counting.
Yeah, and the Ticats had just beaten Toronto at Toronto. They're playing Saskatchewan in that second game. And then you talked earlier, Rod, about how some of those close games turn for Hamilton. It's a different season. That was one of them, and the big play in that, they lost that game 33-28.
One of the 12 losses. Giles a little pump fake. And it looks like an interference call here. A little too close this time to Matt Dominguez. It was Lawrence Gordon, maybe the culprit.
Well, Dominguez sort of motioned like he got his jersey grabbed. I'm not sure if Lawrence Gordon...
Hamilton number 3.
It's Jeff Tisdale. Had the marker thrown on him.
Yeah, it looked like Lawrence Gordon was covering Matt Dominguez, and that's right where the flag was thrown. I know Jeff Tisdale was there, but I think they just got the wrong number. It was Lawrence Gordon that made the contact. You'll see it at the end of the play here. Stephen Giles trying to throw that double move again. There's Gordon, and it was a grab on the back of their jersey. You know, the defensive backs, and Tisdale, you can see, didn't touch anybody. The defensive backs are allowed to have their hand on the back like that, but as soon as you grab the jersey, now it's a penalty, and that's where Lawrence Gordon drew the flag. But it wasn't Jeff Tisdale. He was over top and didn't touch anybody.
Good call. Wrong number this time. There's Rontarius Robinson again back in Regina. Won the Cup last year. These two teams have been trading partners a lot. In fact, there are a lot of former Ticats on the Saskatchewan Roughriders that ended up winning Grey Cup rings.
Yeah. Ouch.
Alain Kashima is going off the field. Injured Ticat, former Alouette, and now into the red zone go the Saskatchewan Roughriders to make this close again. We've had a number of lead changes.
Now, Hamilton has had a couple of big plays in the red zone on their defense.
Giles with the pitch. Wes Cates can walk it in. Touchdown. What a play call there. And the crowd alive again at Mosaic.
Well, it was, because it's all about contain with Wes Cates in the backfield going the opposite direction of the flow of traffic. There's Wes Cates there, and he's going to go this way. The rest of the traffic is going the opposite way, going that way. So with the traffic going one way and Cates going the opposite, then Cornelius Anthony, the linebacker, has to stay wide enough to contain Wes Cates, and he doesn't do it. You give Cates the corner, and he will make you pay for it.
Wes Cates had held on to the touchdown lead in the CFL for quite some time until Jamel Richardson went off for the Montreal Alouettes. Cates, of course, missing 3 games because of injury. His first touchdown since September 13th against BC. And now he has 12 major scores on the season, and it's a 2-point ball game.
Nice call offensively for Paul LaPolice, who had some issues in the first half in the red zone when Darian Durant threw a couple of touchdowns down in the scoring zone when he was in the pocket, drop back, so he goes to some misdirection, and that little pitch out to Wes Cates, and well-designed play that is executed to perfection. Little pitch out to the outside, and well, you can't stop that when Cates gets his momentum going downfield.
Stephen Giles has thrown that pick for the touchdown, but has also had some very successful drives.
Yeah, a couple of touchdowns, field goal drive.
Look at the numbers for Wes Cates, close to 100 yards on his return. It's been a crazy ball game here, certainly crazy. Saskatchewan quarterbacking world. It's almost like an audition for Canadian Idol here, back and forth. But Stephen Giles appears to be the heir apparent down the stretch here.
Who will be singing the blues at the end of this?
Yeah, I'll be talking about this for a while. This game far from over. As the Ticats trying to play spoilers. Jojo Walker. Outside, reverses field now. 38-yard line for Quinton Porter and the Cats now. Just over 6 minutes to go in the fourth.
Which in the Canadian Football League is a lot of time. I mean, 6:09. Jojo Walker a little slow to get up and limping off, but 6:09 is probably 2-3 possessions. It could be for each team in the CFL. Pretty good afternoon for Quinton Porter. And this is what they want to evaluate. They want to evaluate Quinton Porter under pressure.
He's been able to hang on to the football. Saskatchewan defense not getting any turnovers. Thrown behind Mitchell. Scott Mitchell's come up with a couple of acrobatic grabs, but that's only going to be worth 3 or 4 yards.
And this is pressure. This is Quinton Porter with a sold-out Mosaic Stadium, a hostile crowd that knows when to cheer and when not to cheer, and they're going to turn up the volume as soon as he breaks the huddle. It's starting now. Here they go. And he's got to maintain this 2-point lead.
Needs 5 yards for a first down. Coming back is Rodriguez. And a lot of this is going to depend on the spot. Looks like it's going to be a little shy. Maybe a half yard, a yard here. Rodriguez wanted it at the marker, but he's not going to get that. Jake Ireland's going to bring out the yardsticks. Quinton Porter 2 weeks ago played in a game very similar to this, a lot more high scoring, but handled the pressure well. But you're right, it was in front of a hometown crowd.
This would be an interesting spot. Richer Rodriguez had to come way back to the football and had really given about 4 yards up. And then when he got hit, he was launched forward towards the first down marker, but it is a long yard. I don't think Marcel Belfait will mess around here. He's going to kick the football away.
Especially with that strong foot of Nick Setta.
You know, and I would say the officials got that right. That was well marked because Rodriguez was hit and flew forward. So they sort of gave him, they split the difference there. And I think that was a real fair spot.
Again with the wind. Has not subsided this afternoon. Seta will let this fly from his 35-yard line. Johnson is 10. And the battle of field position. A chess war now with 4.5 to go.
Boy, the Saskatchewan Roughriders have been in some tight games. They understand they've been in this position before. July 12th, that's that Saskatchewan-Hamilton game we've talked about, well documented. Just a 5-point game there. A 1-point win versus Calgary. Look at how tight these games have been. 7 games decided by 6 points or less, so they have lots of practice at being in a close game as the time is running out.
Time running out in this ball game. Chasing position in the CFL West. Calgary and BC forcing hands the last couple of days. Riders 9-6, trying to get their 10th win. Giles goes to his left. Good play call here. Zarka. Human monster truck with a first down.
A lot of misdirection now that's really causing all kinds of problems for the Hamilton Tiger Cat linebacking core. Cornelius Anthony right here is the main guy, along with Ray Marius. They're continuing to go with the flow. Look at 44 and 48. They fly way down there with the flow, and they're allowing the backs for Saskatchewan to sneak out of the backfield and outflank them. This time it's Zarka's turn.
Giles has had a lot of success when he's been rolling with that football. Behind center now. Line. Cates dropped the football, got it back. Keith Knowlton on the tackle, but the line opened up a pretty good hole there for Cates. It'll be 2nd and 5.
And keep in mind the entire Western Division is watching this game very, very closely to see what happens and if Saskatchewan can come back and win and stay in the race for first, stay in the race for home field, whether it be first or second in the West. And Wes Cates dodged a bullet there.
Barring penalty last play before the 3-minute warning here. Giles, Cates one-hands it. And should be close to a first down. That is the 3-minute warning. The Roughriders trying to drive the football with Stephen Giles at the helm. Down 2. Two teams with very different records, but it's been a good game. Here's our game story brought to you by Molson Canadian. This is our beer.
Well, Darian Durant started the game, but in the first half he had this little issue, 3 interceptions. And in came Stephen Giles, who has started to move the football, especially in this fourth quarter. This is obviously the most important drive for him. Nice game for Quentin Porter. And Wes Cates looks like he's getting back into that form that we remember before he was injured. He's starting to run the ball with a little more authority. You can see that acceleration and bounce to the outside. He's taking some hits, and he's starting to settle back in there and become a big part of this offense like he was before he was hurt. And that catch there looks like he's got his receiving touch back, because that's a big one for a first down.
And his 12th touchdown of the season earlier. It's brought the Riders back here in the fourth quarter. And off again to Cates.
Well, football plays come down to 3-4 big plays that determine an outcome. And the next 2, at least this one, is one of those plays. 2nd and long situation for Stephen Giles. The Hamilton Tiger Cats, are they going to drop off or are they going to send pressure? It's always the question in this situation.
Will Giles roll as well? He's had success when he's rolled out of the pocket. Stays in trouble, high steps, has a first down. Giles fumbled it. Rob Bagg got it back.
Stephen Giles, I don't know how he got out of the grasp of Terrence Patrick. Comes down to one big play, and Stephen Giles makes it. Watch Giles in the backfield take the ball. Cornelius Anthony came on the stunt underneath, and look at Patrick Haddam by the jersey, slips off him, and Giles is allowed to get out in the open field and pick up a key first down.
Just over 2 minutes to go. 1st and 10 from the Hamilton 51. Cates bursts forward. A drive that began at the Saskatchewan 14. Not only moving the football, Glenn Suter, but also eating up valuable seconds on the clock.
For if Marcel Belfait could get the ball back, you're saying, yeah, because now another first down. Saskatchewan is basically in field goal range. I don't think they are just yet because they're into the wind. But one more and they are. That would give them, if they get it, the 3 points, that 1 point lead.
Well, the melons turn to pumpkins this time of year. Giles again calls his number. Number 9 has another first down.
Our producer, John Hines in the truck, just said, would you run or throw here in my ear? And then predicted, you know, quarterback draws worked well, and quarterback draw it was. A great call. Darian Durant and Giles on the quarterback draw are 9 for 121 yards rushing.
The Saskatchewan quarterback by committee over the last few weeks. Right now, the head of the committee is Stephen Giles. Forced into this game, Wes Cates, after Darian Durant threw 3 interceptions in the first half.
Now, if the Hamilton Tiger Cats do not leave Cornelius Anthony or Markeith Knowlton or Ray Marius, one of the 3, in the middle to protect against the quarterback draw, you just that's one of those head shakers if it doesn't for Denny Crean, the defensive coordinator, because he's been burned a few times on that. So it's the linebackers' play.
Now ticking under a minute. Cates spinning and will be stopped in his tracks on 2nd down. And so now Luka Kanji.
Yeah, and this isn't a chip shot. You
know, no, this is a big win still.
Yeah, it's a big win, and Luka Kanji will be on the hash mark. Marcel Belfait calls his timeout here, stop the clock, and also to give Luka Kanji some time to think about it. But this is by no means an easy kick.
Well, remember, he earlier had to kick a 55-yarder. He might have to kick it as hard this way as he did for the 55-yarder, because that wind is right into his face. And this is just from the 36-yard line.
And like a golf ball, if you start to really jump at it, you can overstride it.
Well, this is a big kick for the Saskatchewan Roughriders right here, right now. And Luka Kanji puts it through. And the Riders lead by 1 with 47 seconds to go.
Which is still time, but clutch kick for Luka Kanji. And there's so many things going through your mind right there. Look how he kept his head down there. That's the key to that kick. He was not going to make the mistake of popping up and taking a peek and to see whether or not they made the big kick. He stayed disciplined, kept his head down, and nailed it.
Well, he's probably happier about that one than the 55-yarder earlier. Luka Kanji, when all is said and done in this game, if the Riders hang on, that could be a huge kick for the Saskatchewan Roughriders and their positioning in the playoffs.
Well, it could end up coming down to home field, and that kick could have given them home field depending on how it shakes out. But there is still time. With 47 seconds left here, Quentin Porter has plenty of time.
Not only that, Quentin Porter can take it down. Should there be a miss, remember this is a 1-point game, we could get into one of those things that we used to see a lot of. Remember in the old days, and guys kick it out of the end zone. Haven't seen that in quite some time.
And we haven't seen overtime
in
quite some time.
I don't think this season.
No.
We saw it a few times last year. In fact, a couple of tie games.
And Quentin Porter probably needs to get the football to, I would say, Saskatchewan's 45-yard line, maybe the 50. The 50 makes it a long one, but they do have the wind at their back. So Marcel Belfait explaining to him that they're going to go over a few plays in the huddle and make sure they use the time as sparingly as possible.
Wayne Smith is down. Offensive tackle for the Riders. If you thought that the Hamilton Tiger Cats were going to come in here and again float to the end of the season and play patsies to the Saskatchewan Roughriders, think again. This has been an outstanding game.
10th lead change in the game when Saskatchewan just went up by 1. So you're absolutely right. Full credit to the staff who, you know, it's easy to sort of say, look, the season's over, we're thinking about next year, we're on the road, it's a sellout Mosaic. Not much chance on paper for this Hamilton Tiger Cat team, but they have battled.
We have seen the development of Quentin Porter over the last few weeks, up and down, up and down.
See, they're trying, sorry, Rod, they're trying to keep it loose in that Hamilton huddle, and this is the difference between a veteran team and let's the team Quentin Porter there smiling, trying to tell the guys, look, don't worry about it. Let's keep it loose. Let's stay relaxed. Let's move this football. Block the crowd out of it.
.47 seconds. Penalty flag on the play. Davis shakes Maurice Lloyd. 5 or 6 yards, but it might be a jump, maybe offside here.
Well, offside would probably be the best case scenario for Hamilton because a holding puts them in a huge hole. And it is offside.
38 seconds. Time to get off. Again, if you can use some out patterns in the sideline here. You can get 3 or 4 plays, certainly. Tiger Cats have no timeouts left. What a place. Mosaic Stadium. Porter in the pocket. Trey Smith has to run a long way and almost lost the football. Maurice Lloyd in heavy pursuit from behind.
It's 3-down football for the Hamilton Tiger Cats, the game on the line, so they don't need to get all 12 yards on one throw. Quentin Porter has had time to throw the football, but he can't find an open receiver in the intermediate zone, so he's having to drop the ball off.
He's having some sound issues right now. Pass to Audible. Porter standing in. Open is Bauman. Trying to get out of bounds, but will be held short, so it will come down to this. 3rd down play, 17 seconds to go.
Ryder are going with 3-man pressure. That's why Quentin Porter has got all kinds of time to stand back there in the pocket, but time is his enemy right now. The Saskatchewan Roughriders will send 3, have him hold the ball and watch the clock run out.
3rd down. Cats must get a 1st down. Have to be cognizant of the clock here. Porter has a couple screen passes, goes to the outlet. Davis has it, and he's got a 1st down with 10 seconds to go. Now time maybe for 1, and maybe you might have to be thinking about punting it here.
Well, it depends on what they get on the 1. But that's what they got to do. Marcel Belfay saying, hurry up, get this one called so you have time. But they're going to need about 15 yards here.
And there were penalty flags, and there was a false start. And everything that could go wrong on that play before it started went wrong for the Tiger Cats.
I think it was Gerald Davis.
And this is what you talked about, the inexperience.
Learning how to finish.
There is no infraction on the play. Time had not been whistled in.
Time
they got a break.
They got a huge break.
They got a break, and that allows them to get regrouped and on the line of scrimmage.
Remember the last time these teams met, Saskatchewan broke Hamilton's heart. Can the Ticats do the same? 6 seconds. You've got to think about going down here. 3 seconds, and there's a chance now with 1 second to go, and Nick Seta will come on the field. A chance to win it, a chance to tie it. They are going to try a field goal. Porter stays in the game. A make wins it. A miss. The Riders would have to get the ball out of the end zone.
Saskatchewan.
We could be headed to overtime.
Nick Seta's longest is 48 on the season.
Big wind here, though.
He's got a good wind behind him. where they've got the ball spotted right now, because where the ball is spotted, you go 7 yards back from there is where it will be placed. I've got that as a 54-yarder.
Setta's had some problems with his plant leg. He had a back injury a couple of weeks ago. His punting is not affected. He is going to punt this football, it looks like. Or is he? No, he's not. Here comes Porter.
If you punt it, Rod, you got to be 15 yards back for a punt. This is the right decision.
Here it is. Final play of the game. Nick Setta. Can the Tiger Cats steal one? The kick, it's up, it is going to be wide, and now Weston Dressler has to bring it out, and he does. Game over. The Saskatchewan Roughriders dodge a Hamilton Tiger Cat bullet.
Nick Setta had the leg, he just was wide to the right.
What a game. Marcel Belfait comes back to a place where he was a coach. And the Riders help solidify a playoff position. And so time now for the TSN turning point.
Well, it comes right down to the wire. This game comes down. Nick Setta makes it. Hamilton wins. He misses. And the Riders get it out. They win. That's exactly what Weston Dressler does. Saskatchewan takes it by 1 point.
TSN Turning Point brought to you by the 2008 GMC Sierra Professional Grade. Ken Miller now has several question marks around the quarterbacking situation, and despite all the quarterback troubles they have, the Saskatchewan Roughriders hang on to win and pick up win number 10. What a football game here at Mosaic Stadium. Tiger Cats head home, will play Calgary Friday night. They fall to 3-13 as the Riders hang on to win a nail-biter in Regina. Sports Center is next.